Assalamu alaikum. Hey, and welcome to the Muslim Life Coach Institute podcast. This is Abdul Shahid, master coach, trainer, and therapist. And this is where I help you to coach yourself and your clients on how to overcome anxiety, fear, and all of the emotional baggage that keeps so many of us stuck in our minds, our lives, and our relationships. Hey, and welcome to this week's episode of the Muslim Life Coach podcast. We want to have the best year of our lives. We want to create momentum, and it doesn't matter what time of year you're beginning. It doesn't matter what time of year you decide you're going to change or transform your life. Like one of the core foundations of the science of the nafs, as I take my students, my clients, you through a process of change, like we want to transform our lives, but the thing is, often we find transformation as being such a huge thing, we don't know what to do about it. And what often gets in our way is the obstacles. So in this podcast, I want to discuss like one of the biggest obstacles that you no doubt have in your life. Like everyone has this, some to a further extent than others. But I want to show you that actually the reality is that you have the ability to change that. So what I found is that no matter how many people I've worked with, and I've worked a lot of people over the years, alhamdulillah, but what I found is that one of the biggest challenges that most people have is that they have different obstacles, different challenges, but there's always one common one that we all have. And that's what we want to talk about today. And but I don't want to just focus on obstacles, but I want to actually dive into what you can do about it and actually what your ability is in changing that. And really, the direction I'm going to come at this from is from the direction of transformation. How do we go about transforming our lives? Because one of the main things that I work with or work through with my clients, my students, my coaches and therapists, as they're going through a training or they're going through their own life transformation process, like one of the main things is that we want to empower you. We want you to be empowered with the optimum potential that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you with. And one of the obstacles in that way is this problem, right? The one that we're going to get into today. And whatever your obstacles are, whatever your challenges are, like if you've watched any of the classes that I've run, or you've actually, or you're one of my students going through the process, like one of the biggest challenges you've got is beyond the fear, beyond the anxiety, beyond the overwhelm or burnout or whatever challenge you feel you're experiencing and you're dealing with on a daily day-to-day basis, like beyond the fatigue, beyond the I'm tired of this, I'm fed up of being fed up, like beyond all of that, like what we've got is we've got the ability to change, but we just don't recognize it. Now what is that obstacle? What is it that I'm talking about? It's knowing that you have the ability to create change. And here's the thing, look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allah says, and this is, this is a common verse that we hear all the time, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin. Like Allah will not change the condition of the people, right? This is about whatever is in the control of Allah. Hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Like until they change what is within them. Like transformation, that's what we're talking about here. That transformation, transforming yourself, it means that something has to change. Now, the thing that you have total power over, and this is what your maker is telling you, you have total power over this one thing, and this one thing is to bring about change within you. Now, taghyir, transformation or change, this is what we're talking about. The obstacle that has us actually stuck is the belief that we don't have that ability. That's like the worst thing. So I want you to really get this and understand it. The belief that we can't change, the belief that we can't get out of this rut or get out of this challenge or relationship challenge or health challenge or mind challenge, whatever it is, whatever your challenge is, whatever your obstacle is, like you're experiencing the highs and lows of the emotions that we experience as a result of the challenge. But before that challenge, whatever your challenge is, before that, there's something that's blocking you that you don't even see. It's the belief that you don't have the ability to actually do anything about it. And here's what I want to tell you. And I know that, if you're a trained, if you're trained in psychology or theology, and like whatever your training is, like many of you, you're already trained in different modalities, right? Now, and many of you, majority of you aren't. But if you have any idea about this stuff, like what you're going to think, and I hear this so often, is that people believe that we're continually in a process of, growing and healing and getting better, and there's a really, really terrible implication of having that belief or having that thought. Like if you're thinking that you've got to be continually, just about managing or just about doing okay, or you're able to get over things and then you're sliding back, and if you're continually doing that, the likelihood is because you believe that you can't do anything about it, that this is how life is meant to be. And I want to tell you that this is not how life is meant to be, and we're not in a continuous process of getting better. If you have been stuck in that getting better state of life or mind or emotion, then the likelihood is that you've probably got this understanding that you're going to be in this struggle for a long time, and you should just get used to it. And I want to tell you, you don't have to get used to it. What you want to do is you want to become empowered and change it. You have the ability to change it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us categorically that we have the ability, and this is the most powerful thing that you have. You have the ability to change. You don't need to constantly be healing or changing, or even growth. Like when I talk about, in my programs, when I'm training my coaches or taking one of my students through a life transformation process, what I talk about is mind health and mind wealth. Now, mind health is when you are struggling with something and you want to get to a good state of mind, a good state of being. That's called getting over the struggles. Like you may have struggled with that for a long time, but to get over that, you get to a state of mind health. But beyond that is where you go into the wealth, the abundance of your life. And that truly is the mind wealth. Even when we talk in the material sense, if you want to become wealthy, you can't possibly become wealthy when you're constantly struggling with your mind, because even if you do, you're constantly just blowing it, or you're wasting it, or you're spending it on things to fix the way you feel. Make yourself feel better. So you're going on holidays, you're buying houses and cars and toys and whatever it is that takes your fancy. We do this. It's human behavior, right? We want to make ourselves feel better, so we go to those things that we think will give us a quick fix. And here's the thing: to get to that state of wealthy mind, you got to get over your obstacles. Now, the biggest obstacle that most people have is that they believe that they can't change, or it can't be. I often hear it's too good. It sounds too good to be true, right? Until they experience it, because we got ourselves into this state of belief or thinking that we've got to live with this for the rest of our lives. Now, some struggles we live with for the rest of our lives, but even if you struggle with an obstacle, it doesn't mean that it has to be a struggle for the rest of your life. You can have, something preventing you from whatever your goals are, but it doesn't mean that life has to be a struggle. Struggle is a state of mind, and I want you to understand that you can change it. So look, the obstacle here, let me maybe paint it in a different way. The obstacle that we have is that we believe that we don't have the choice to do anything about it, right? We don't have the ability, the choice, and we have to be consistently stuck. And what I want to tell you is that you don't have to be consistently stuck. And I imagine you've been stuck in one or more areas of your life. If you're listening to this for a while, maybe a few years, maybe more than a few years, many of the people that I work with have been challenged. They're extremely successful in some areas of life, but in other areas they're stuck and they've been challenged, and it impacts their whole lives. It impacts their relationships, impacts the way they show up in the world, and it impacts your opportunities. That's the reality, right? Because for as long as we struggle with these negative experiences, be it your thoughts, be it your feelings, and you're staying stuck there, then it's an indication to me that you you've tried things, and because it hasn't worked, then what you're thinking is that you've got to be stuck with that for a long period of time, right? And the reality is that you don't. The reality is that you can take ownership of your life, and the way that you take ownership of your life is by taking ownership of your choices, of what you decide to do or not do, because what you decide to do or not do is going to determine your life. So here's a formula. I want you to think about it like this. Most people, in fact, most people want results, right? You want results in your life, and so you're thinking, I've got to take more action. I've got to take more action. And the more action I take, the more I'm going to get results. And that's, partially true. Let's just say it's 50% true, right? But more action with the wrong strategies, with the wrong thinking, with the wrong beliefs, with the wrong approach from your mind, will actually be the wrong action. And even if it's the right action, and you don't see what you want to see instantly, you're thinking it's the wrong action and you abandon it, right? So there's lots of variations of how this works out, but this is the formula. I want to be super clear. If you want to get results, we want results in our lives. You want to create the best life ever, be it material, be it spiritual, be it psychological, in whatever way possible, relationships, you name it. We want the best life ever, right? So you have the ability to actually determine your future. And how do you do that? Of course, you need divine intervention. Divine intervention comes through the means of following revelation, the Quran, Sunnah. In our case, we're talking about the science of the nafs, understanding life through this lens of divine revelation, right? And the other thing is that you need your dua. And that's the divine, right? Because when you're calling upon the one who can answer everything, the one who can give you everything, you're gonna get what you want. If you ask in the right way, if you're being aggressive and pushy when you go to the shopkeeper's not going to even sell you, his or her stuff, right? In fact, they're going to probably kick you out. So when we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how do you ask? How do you ask? Think about this. I'm going to leave that just to the side. Let's go back to the formula. I'm speaking fast because my mind is going fast through these ideas, and I want to share them with you. And I don't want you to miss out on it. And I know you can just go back and listen to this again. So you want to create results. There's two things that are required in this, right? There's the action, the things that we do to create those results, right? But those actions, in and of themselves, they won't create the results. Those actions, they are what most of us do is that we try and take so much action to make things happen, and then when they don't happen, we just implode. We just have this, emotional meltdown, whether it's outwardly or inwardly. We have this challenge, and then we sabotage. We go to self-sabotage behaviors, and that's what you see. A lot of people try forever to try and be successful in whatever way they believe is success, and then when it doesn't happen in the way that they want it, what we do is that we start to sabotage ourselves, and we start to become angry and sad and frustrated, and all of the different challenges come about. And as a result of those challenges, you might have relationship issues, you might have all sorts of issues, right? So what we need to focus on what actually creates the results. The full formula that creates the results in your life is this. You need the actions, but before you need the actions, you need the state of mind. You need the state of mind that actually creates, is innovative and creates and develops and actually creates the inner peace, tranquility, and all of the things that you need in order to show up and take the most wonderful actions. Now, wonderful actions create different results to miserable actions. Think about this. Just think about any scenario in your life and think, do the actions that you take, are they miserable actions? I know they may not be miserable per se, but are they negative, if you want, right? Are they miserable actions or are they wonderful actions? Because the wonderful actions, they come from a state of mind that creates new things, innovative. You become you actually live up to your potential, right? You live up to your potential. You're able to actually create results that you didn't even believe possible. And I know that with so many people I've worked with, so many people I've seen over the years, they create such amazing results in their lives that they themselves are surprised. Like, I create results in my life that I am absolutely shocked at. I'm flabbergasted. Like I often think, like, subhanAllah, like, how did this even happen? But I know how it happened. I followed the formula. The formula is what is simple. Like, create a level of mind, a level of belief and energy in my life that will actually create the wonderful actions that actually go about creating results. But that's not enough. Obviously, you've got your thinking, your state of mind, your beliefs, all of that stuff, your emotions, like truly being emotionally intelligent, right? All of that stuff is the first, half of the formula. The second half of the formula is taking the right actions. And the right actions are not always right, as in, there's lots of ways to, as they say, lots of ways to skin a cat. I don't know anyone that's ever, done that, but, there's lots of ways to do stuff, right? And it's not about finding exactly the right way to do it, but it's about taking action from that state of, mind, emotion, energy, that actually, when those two things come together, then it creates the results. It creates phenomenal results, right? And it creates phenomenal results because your whole formula, like your mind, state of mind, plus your behavior, your actions, what you do in the world, like, equals the results you get. That's how it works, right? And if you want to make sure that it's miraculous, as in it's amazing, then what you want to do is you want to, like, sprinkle some dua all over it, right? Sounds like a little crazy and a bit out there, but it's not out there. It's the real deal. This is how it works, right? Like, if you do that, then you will create the results. Now, here's the thing that you're going to have. Your fear or your feelings or whatever you've experienced in the past is going to actually tell you that, no, you can't do it. You've tried it before. You loser. Like, why are you doing this again? You're going to mess yourself up. That thinking there keeps you stuck, right? And what that does, that thinking there, it creates an emotion of fear. It creates an emotion of, I don't know if I could do this. And we go back to that, I don't know if I can do this, right? And that's where we started, the obstacle of, I don't know if I can do this. And I'm telling you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to you that, hatta yughayyiru, they change until they change whatever is with themselves, right? So that's you and I, like, we can change it. Now, knowing that, your maker is telling you that you have the ability to change, it means that you just got to step in. Like, you follow, simple processes, but a major part of that is that divine connection. Like, look, I train people in the science of the nafs. My students who go through a life transformation process go through the science of the nafs. This podcast is all based on the knowledge that I extract from this science, from the tafasir, from all of the stuff that we do, like, in this science, in this coaching methodology, in this therapeutic intervention, right? Like, what we do is that we use it to empower ourselves. So going back to the beginning, if you want to become empowered, you want to become powerful in and of yourself, because that's the whole process. This process should make you empowered. If you want to be that person who is empowered, can do things, can get things done, and does not stay stuck forever, you've got to make choices. And if you want to make choices, then you're going to face those fears. Those fears that you have, they're going to be based on, I don't know if you can do this, and, you're just going to mess this up, and wait until, the holidays are over, wait till the kids go back to school, wait till, your wife or your husband can offload some of your responsibility, wait until you feel better, wait until you don't have any more fear, wait until forever, right? All of those thoughts there, wait until, will keep you from making a decision to change your life and to step into your power. That's what it does. All of that does that. And I want to tell you, look, like, many a times people will say things to me like, "Oh, so you're a coach, right? So you do this, this goal setting stuff and mindset stuff." And the reality is, look, like I don't even get into that conversation. I don't even engage in the conversation because like coaching is of many different types, right? And what we do, albeit we do coaching because it's growth and development, but we do the therapeutic intervention, which is actually getting yourself to a good state of mental health and wealth, right? And so it's a combination. What we do doesn't fit into one box or another. It actually, it's the deen effectively, and but it's not in the traditional sense. It's the deen in the way that it will help you to change your lives. And what I want you to understand is that no matter what you've got going on, like, you can change it. No matter where you feel stuck, you can change it. No matter what it is that you're challenged with, you can change it. You can do something about it. Like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you in your entire path, but your part of it is you got to do some changing, and that changing is that just make the decisions that serve you. And now, my guess is, if you've been stuck for a long time, or you're stuck with an obstacle for a long time, it's because you're always thinking that you've got to make a choice that is going to ruin your life. And you're thinking, if I do that, this is going to go wrong, and that's going to go wrong, and everything's going to go wrong. And my marriage is going to fall apart. My house is going to fall apart. I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to be, I'm going to be without everything. Like, I've heard all sorts, right? And I can tell you that most of that stuff is you inducing fear in your own mind, right? And so what you got to do is that you got to understand that the simple formula to creating good results in your life, like especially what we're going to be doing over the next 12 months, like, you should be focused on this, right? What we're going to be doing over the next 12 months is creating the most amazing year of our life, right? And the way you do that is by making by deciding to choose the things that empower you and help you to move. Like, you want to be in constant flow. You want to be in constantly moving. You don't want to be stuck. Stuck is when you're not going anywhere. Stuck is when you're always, your fear always has you making decisions to keep you stuck. It's the craziest thing, but it's like a loop, right? Your negative thoughts and expectations keep you at bay from your own results. Like, when you can't get results, it results in anger, frustration, upset, feeling down, and the cycle continues for long periods of time. And the way that you got to break that is that you move. And your mind is going to tell you that, when you have a lack of fear and frustration, when you feel better and all of that stuff, that then you'll move. But the reality is, the fear, the frustration, all of that stuff is not your results. It's the state of your mind. The fear, the frustration, the emotion, the overwhelm, the burnout, all of that stuff is the state of your mind. That's not the result. Think about the formula. The formula is that you've got the state of your mind plus actions equals results. And where you're getting stuck thinking that, this is your result, the state of your mind and all of that stuff, like, it's because it consumes you, right? But it's not. It's the state of your mind. It's only half of the results, right? But if the state of your mind is the way it is, then the thing that you got to go to changing is that. And when you change that, your actions will go from miserable actions to wonderful actions. And then when you have a combination of a good state of mind and amazing, wonderful actions, then you're going to create results, different results to the results you're creating now. So anyway, folk, this is a bit long and it is so detailed. Like, I know I've covered like a lot, and I know my coaches and therapists, they always tell me that, it's like there's so much in this podcast. As much as there is in this, like, I want you to keep it simple, right? If you complicate it, you're going to make it difficult. See it like this. Let's keep it real simple. Like, the state of your mind, the state of your psychology, your spirituality. Let's just leave it at that. State of your psychology and your spirituality. Those two together make the state of your mind. The state of your mind plus the behavior, the actions, the things you're doing or not doing. Right? The state of your mind plus the behavior, the actions and things you're doing equals results. So if you don't like the results, you've got to change up the formula. You've got to change something in the state of your mind, or you've got to change something in the behavior, right? And often you can't change the behavior unless you change the state of your mind. So if you want to change the results, that's what you got to focus on. And the reality is, because the state of your mind and your behavior is all within you and your control, then you can totally change everything. You can totally change everything. It's the most powerful thing in the world. This is revelation-based, folk. This will change your life if you apply it. Like, it is so, so powerful. It will change your life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides us through every phase of life. Doesn't matter what you're going through. Like, life is not one big fat test. Like, I know everyone thinks that, life is one big test. Like, sure, life is, it determines your outcome, as in forever, the akhirah, but it doesn't mean that you have to have a miserable life. Think about it. It doesn't mean you're meant to have a miserable life. Most of us, we take that to mean we have to have a miserable life. And I want to tell you, you can have the most amazing life if you so choose. So you're going to make a choice on that and move. And your thoughts are going to keep you stuck. They're going to want you to stay in those emotions and stay in that state of mind. Stay in the now. Right? Everyone goes on about stay in the now, but listen, don't stay in the now. If the now is miserable, change the now. Change the now. Change the state of your mind. Change the state of your behavior. And what will happen is that the results will be amazing. The results will be amazing. So anyway, folk, I'm going to leave you on that. Jazakumullah khair. Hey, if you're ready to actually take the steps to transform your life, I want to invite you to join me on the Nafs Life Transformation Coaching Program, where I help you to take the steps to making the transformation of your mind, your relationships, and your life. Just go over to themuslimlifecoach.org/live. That's themuslimlifecoach.org/live.